4 tips for staying happy during hard times. And let's be real, it's not even just staying happy. It is actually being able to function.
Welcome to the Loveable as Fuck show with Sherry Yazzie. I am a plus-size Indigenous woman in a world that tells me not to love myself. I fucking do. Here's how I do it.
For more on how to defuck yourself, love yourself, and my emotional resiliency magnifying, life-transforming mindset hacks and self-care tools that you need to know now in order to transform your life and be happy as fuck, go to beloveableaf.com. That's BELOVEABLEAF.com.
So today we are talking about 4 tips to staying happy during hard times. And as moms, as women of color, us functioning, living our lives in the face of all of the things is actually a revolutionary act. It is something that actually is needed in the world. So it is so important that with all of the things that are coming at us, we take care of ourselves, we manage this stuff. So this is not pretend happiness. This is not faking it happiness. This is literally taking what you need to do, managing it, and then still showing the fuck up, still living your life, still loving your life, still creating your life on purpose. Because us doing that is a revolutionary act, and it's one that the world needs us to continue to do. And of course, as mothers, our kids need us to continue to show up, especially during hard times, especially when shit is hitting the fan, especially when it's hard, right? We're called upon even more so. So how do we keep our sanity, keep showing the fuck up without losing it, right? So 4 tips to staying happy during hard times. Let's talk about this. And I want you to really get this isn't just some like airy fairy idea of happiness. This is real, true. You're actually functioning. You're actually showing up because we have a calling in the world, right? If you're here, I know you have one. And us stopping, us quitting, us getting so run down, so angry, so steeped in the stress and the pain and the hurt, we're only then feeding the system that we no longer want to uphold. So the best thing we can do is to actually take those time for us to recharge, feel good, seriously get truthful with what's going on, what's not okay, what we are willing to stand up for, what we're going to do about it, right? So let me give you 4 tips, 4 things that I do. And I did this just barely because there's normally a podcast that comes out on Thursdays. And if you're listening to this later on, don't worry about it. But I didn't do one. I was really in a place of struggle. This is like the perfect topic for me to be talking about right now, because what I needed in that moment was actually step number 1, and that's give yourself grace. So recently a white terrorist went in and killed 8 Asian women in the Atlanta area. And Rachel Rodgers, I think, said it best. She said, sometimes the world is just fucking disappointing. And that was truly, I just felt so dejected and sad and upset and horrified for the world and sad for my son that this is the world he's growing up in. And I just had this moment of just truly needing to give myself some grace. I needed to not produce content that day. I needed to just chill the fuck out, okay? And that's the first thing. Literally when this stuff happens, because we are all living currently, depending on when you're listening to this, through some pretty intense things. There's the COVID. There's all the isolation. There's the lack of travel if you're like me. There's like the lack of things like going out to eat that you used to do all the time. The lack of being able to touch your face. No, but really like and stressful decisions, like, hey, can I go to your child coming to ask you, hey, can I go to night games outside, will be distanced and careful, like those decisions being so possibly momentous, right? And having family members, insisting on get-togethers, indoor get-togethers and things, and needing to set boundaries or not, or however you're doing it, like there's an increased amount of stress. You look at all the unrest and all the social justice that's being fought for right now, okay? Like all of these things matter, and we need to continue to take care of ourselves. But I will tell you something. A while ago, when the previous president was running, and if you're listening to this, I don't like to say his name, but it's kind of like Voldemort. But anyway, I was really feeling very much as a brown woman that what was happening is racism was coming up, and people were feeling like it was more okay to be flat out racist out in public. And I was starting to feel really fearful, really angry, really upset, and I was focusing so much on it, okay? This is where I got this whole give myself grace thing, because are these things true? Is shit happening that's not okay? Yes. Do things need to change in our systems? Yes. Can we just positive think racism away? Can we actually just focus only on being high vibe and never feeling bad? No, none of that stuff. These are things in the actual world. But how can we actually affect change inside of them? And what I have to say is the very first thing is taking care of you. So starting with giving yourself the grace. That is super important, because the more that you can take care of you, the more you can show up and make the difference, right? Literally by me showing up consistently, by me being a voice in the personal development field, right? I am a multiracial Indigenous woman. Who else is here doing that, right? I am literally living the things that can help, right? And same thing for you, whatever that is for you, whatever your call is for you. The world needs you, but it doesn't need you ran down, angry, and so completely horrified and almost paralyzed, right? So how do we get through that? Because it happens to us all. There's those moments where you're like, I cannot fucking believe this is the world that we're in right now. I cannot fucking believe these are the kind of conversations we're having. I cannot believe that this is what's happening. We all have that, right? Like I said, the world sometimes is super fucking disappointing. And that's a true statement for me, okay? Now, do I have to, though, devolve and continue to focus on it forever and ever and ever? No. And that's what I'm saying is, for me to actually affect change, I need to pull myself up out of that, get to a different place with it. And that's what this video is all about. That's what this podcast is all about, right? Getting to that different place so that I can show up and take the actions that I feel are the most beneficial to actually make an impact in the world. So that's what that's what the whole video, this whole show today is about. So first step, right? Give yourself some grace. Really take the time. Do you need a little bit extra time to lay down? Do you need a few extra hugs? Do you need to get touch, sit down with your dog? Do you need to sit in the sunlight? What does your body need from you? Does it need a milkshake? What does it need to give yourself some of that breathing room? Because if we are in this reactionary mode, this is what I found. When I was in that reactionary mode and so angry, I wasn't actually doing anything besides making myself crazy up here, right? And also too, I go through these steps before I start putting stuff out into the world, because I don't actually want to increase the pain and the upset. I actually want to help. I actually want to make a difference, affect change, correct? That's what I'm here for. And so these are the things that I do. So first thing, give yourself some grace. And literally that can just be asking your body, what does it need? What does it need right now, right? And getting it, taking the time, commit. No matter what kind of schedule you have, commit to giving yourself 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you can, to do whatever the fuck you want to do, however you want to feel. Because giving yourself that grace, getting yourself into that place where you can start breathing. And then second thing is getting real and feeling the feelings. So this might need to, again, have some time from you. But instead of watching Netflix or whatever it is, take that time to actually do this. Get real with what's not okay with you, what's not working for you, what you want to change. Get real with what sucks. Get real with how you actually feel. Because what I did after this is I gave myself some extra time to lay in bed. I gave myself some extra time to get that space back. And then I decided that I was going to get up and I was going to shake my ass, right? Because that always helps me. Like getting the movement into my body helps me to shift my mind. And that's not to say that what happened is okay, because it's not. And it's not to say that how that it's gone is okay. It's not. But if I am paralyzed, I can't do anything about it. And, right, like, can I do anything specifically about that exact situation? Well, there might be some things, right? The best thing I know how to do is like raise my voice, use my voice. You know, now's the time to support Asian-run businesses. The hate crime against Asian people has just increased exponentially. So now is the time to go that extra step and be there for your Asian neighbors, for the Asian businesses in your town. Now is the time you're choosing between barbecue and Thai food. Go get the Thai food. Like literally, it can be something simple where you're just supporting that community intentionally. You can be using your platforms, if you have them, to actually lift up their voices, lift up and give them an opportunity to speak on your platform or sell on your platform or whatever it is, right? It doesn't have to be this huge thing. Of course, right? There's bigger things around voting and all of that, right? But you got to figure out what you can do and then do it. So that is actually number 4, is to take action. But I'm skipping ahead. Okay, so give yourself that grace. Then 2, get real and then feel the feelings. So I got up and I started to shake my ass because I really thought in the giving myself grace, I had given myself enough room. But as I started to dance, I was so angry. There was so much rage inside of me because it's not okay. So you know what I did? I got a pillow and I screamed really loud. Now, I got the pillow because my son was here and I didn't want to scare him. If I'm alone, I scream at the top of my lungs for as long as I want. Now, why do I do that? Because I'm literally getting some of that energy out of my body. So it doesn't just live inside of here. Because if you're angry, if you're upset, if this stuff, and you have a justified reason or not, but literally you just have that emotion inside your body, it's in there doing things. It's like we want to get it out here so we can give ourselves the space to continue to function, to continue to feel better, to continue to be happy. Because again, being happy is a revolutionary thing for any marginalized community. The more that we're happy, the more that we're living our lives, the more that we are enjoying things, the more that we are creating the kind of life that we want, the better it is for the entire world. Okay? All right. So feel the feelings. And the best way I know how to tell you to do this is to actually start moving your body. Now, you can do whatever you'd like, run, whatever, but like move your body, get it moving. Because that's what unlocked the anger. And then I yelled and yelled and yelled, and then I danced some more. And it really helped. And I needed to cry a little, so I cried a little. So experiencing the feelings and being real with what they are is so useful if you want to feel good in your life. Because otherwise, it's like, the way I look at it is, underneath, you have these wild, tumultuous feelings. I hope I said that correctly, but and you're trying to build on top of it. So your foundation is filled with these crazy ups and downs and sadness and hurt and pain and anger. And then when you build on top of it, it sometimes crumbles on one side, shit happens. And so the more that we actually can feel the feelings that we are feeling, give them space to breathe and be in the world, again, without damaging people. So that's why I screamed into the pillow, right? Because I don't want my rage to get on him. I'm doing this, right, so that eventually I have this clear space so I can show up for him in this kind of, when it gets hard, right, for my son. Well, and other people. So step 1, give yourself grace. Step 2, be real and feel the feelings. Step 3, choose where you focus, okay? Now, I'm not saying pretend or put your head in the sand, because that's actually not going to do it for us. But we can understand what's happening and intentionally choose what we're focusing on. Because this is why this is important. Okay, so if you've ever heard the Mr. Rogers quote, about when something really bad happens and he asked his mom, what do you do here? And she said, look for the helpers. why does it matter? Why does it matter looking for the helpers? Well, for me, it's because it helps to renew my faith in humanity, my faith in that I should keep showing up for people. And why is that important? Why is it important that I have my faith in humanity, right? Because the only way, how can you help affect a positive change if you've given up on humanity as a whole? If you've given up on anything ever being different, right? You might as well just Netflix and be in bed for the rest of your life, right? No, so looking for the helpers is a useful thing. And again, it's not to pretend that the other things aren't happening, the things that aren't okay. But how do you get to the place where you can start taking action? And for me, it is choosing where I focus. So that is part of what moves me into action. So I have a bunch of people that I follow who are uncovering and exposing the things that are not okay in the world, but they're also coming up with suggestions, right? Like I just talked about, go support your Asian businesses in your town. Absolutely, if you have Asian friends, call and check on them. Be sending them love. Send them some chocolates. send them something, right? Maybe send them an Uber Eats, or not Uber Eats. I don't support them. DoorDash. Anyway, so this is the time for you to consider, how could you help somebody else who is feeling that panic and that fear? What could you do? So when you start shifting your focus, for me, that starts calling on me to actually take action. And that's number 4. Literally, how to stay happy during hard times and functioning is moving through these, doing them all, but taking action so that you feel like you are at cause in your own life, right? So that you're using your voice and standing up for the things that you believe in. You are attempting to create the world that you want your children to live in. Because the more that we stifle that voice, the more that we don't stand up and talk about things, the more that we sell out on ourselves and our beliefs, the worse we feel. And hard times just then compounds it. So take action. What can you do? How could it be? Because literally taking that action, getting outside and wondering how you could contribute, how you could help in any of the situations, right? Maybe you have somebody in your family or a friend or somebody that is struggling, or maybe that has COVID, or that is is struggling financially. There's all kinds of things that once you start actually taking some action, you feel better. You feel more you feel more like there's more actions to take, more ways that you can help affect the change that you want in the world. And the more of us moms who stand up and do that, because we're powerful. We are powerful alone. We are powerful in a group. We have something we are fighting for that is the biggest and most all-encompassing. Why? Our kids, we want them to be in a world that, for me, right, that my son isn't nervous about being pulled over by the police, and that just that there's a safety and equity for all of us, right? That's what I'm working for. That's what I'm working towards. And you can go to small things all the way to big things. You could decide today that today's the day you're going to figure out a way to be a millionaire, because then your voice is so much bigger and you can put money in all of the places that you want it to go, so that you're affecting systemic change. There's always the things about helping people vote. There's so many things, but it's really hard to get into the action part when something happens if you don't do the other things first. For me. And I would love to hear from you guys. Is that true for you? Is this helpful to give yourself the grace, be real, feel the feelings, then choose your focus, and then take some action? How does that feel? What does that do for you? I would love to know. Because I don't really think that we're in a place where, poof, hard times are just going to go. I think that there's some time here. We're in this place of, it's been quite a while, if you're like me, that you've been isolated, that, you just have your pod, and it starts to wear on you. And then you look at, maybe you're looking at doing vaccines or whatever it is, right? but maybe your kids aren't. So then you can't bring it home to them. So there's so many things, right? And so many decisions, and it can feel so overwhelming. So the best thing is really give yourself that time to give yourself the grace to feel the feelings, to choose what you're focusing on so that you can show up and take action, right? Because in this time period, this stuff is affecting our children too. No matter, depending on especially how much exposure they have to news and things. I mean, this is all coming at them as well. So us creating a clear space for them to ask questions, for them to feel their own feelings and help them essentially through this same process, giving themselves grace, being real with how they feel, choosing what they're focusing on, and then taking action. Because as we have seen, Generation Z can do some amazing things. These are kids and they're doing wonderful, amazing things in the world. So showing up and owning your own power towards creating the life, the world that you want to live in can happen for your children as well. So doing this and modeling it then creates a safe space for them to do it as well. So who's with me? I want to know if you're like, yes, thank you. This has been great. Like seriously, you can email me. There's in the show notes. Let me know like how this landed for you. Is this helpful? Is this feeling good to you? Because I know getting stuck in the anger and stuff, how hard it can be, right? And I really wanted you guys to be able to get that you being happy, even in all the hard times, even in all the things that are happening, doesn't mean that you're not committed to something bigger and better in the world. But it actually does mean that you are spreading that into the world. This creation of a life on purpose. That right there is worth putting out into the world consistently, continually, all the time. But at the same time, feeling your feelings and moving through them, right? So please let me know. And in case nobody has told you yet today, you are lovable as fuck, just the way you are.
To send me your questions or stories, email me at lovableafshow@gmail.com. If you love the show, please comment, like, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're listening on the podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to help me get this show in front of more women who need to know that they are lovable as fuck, just as they are. Check out the show notes or go to belovableaf.com. That's BELOVEABLEAF.com for more of how to unfuck yourself, love yourself, and be happy no matter your size. I said it before and I will say it again. You are lovable as fuck, just as you are.